All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video. All right, one of my very favorite players has requested a trade. Budda Baker wants out. Who's Budda Baker? I've never heard of Budda Baker. That's Budda Baker. That's right, Budda Baker wants out in Arizona. He wants out of the Arizona Cardinals. He wants to be traded. According to reports, Budda Baker has the All-Pro safety, the first-team All-Pro, has formally requested a trade from the Arizona Cardinals. Now, it's not surprising. He's been unhappy there for a while. He's been hinting at it on social media. He apparently removed references to the team from his Twitter account. I wonder where he got that idea. And also changed his profile picture, which was previously a picture of him in a Cardinal uniform. Now it no longer is. This is like everybody's patented move. He's criticized the Arizona Cardinals for a while now. And, so he wants out. And the Cardinals are not a winning team. And he's tired of, risking his body, throwing around his body recklessly like he does so well to be on a losing team. And Arizona drafted him in the second round back in 2017. He signed a 4-year extension worth a total of $59 million in 2020. Any team that acquires him is going to owe him $13 million in 2023, $14.2 million in 2024. That's not cheap. This is a great, great player. I mean, this is one of the NFL's best safeties. This might be the NFL's best safety. And he's still in his prime. He's just 27. So, of course, my first thought is, man, could the Niners get Budda Baker? And then you're like, probably not. Probably not. For a lot of reasons. Why? Because he's awesome. He's expensive. He plays in the division. So what, the Cardinals are going to trade him to the 49ers? Probably not. Probably not. Doesn't seem very likely. But what a great player this guy is. He missed 2 games this last year. He still had 111 tackles, 7 pass breakups, 2 picks. Arizona hasn't stated if they're going to trade him or not. And, I'm telling you, if you get this guy's an elite player. And I'm telling you, everybody knows. Everybody knows Budda Baker. Great player. And my big fear is that he's going to wind up in Seattle. He went to Bellevue High School, which is, I think, a football power up there in Bellevue, Washington. And he played for the UW Huskies. He played safety and running back, ran track in high school, then goes to UW, starts as a true freshman, All-American there, great player. I mean, just a phenomenal football player. This guy's really, really good. Second-round pick by the Cardinals, 36th overall in the 2017 draft, and he's been awesome. He's been a Cardinal all the way through, 2-time first-team All-Pro, been a second-team All-Pro. He's been a 5-time Pro Bowler. This guy was a great player. He was a great player at UW. He's All-American. He was all Pac-12. Now he's in the NFL. He's All-Pro. He's great. He's a great, great player. He really is. And the guy just makes tons of tackles. 3 years at UW, he made 138 tackles, 13 for loss, 4 sacks, 5 picks. He's a great player. Forced 3 fumbles in college. And, you look at the measurables, and this is why you always got to look at these draft prospects. You got to look at the heart because, man, sometimes guys are small and you don't know what they're made of. This guy's they measured him coming out at 5'9" and 5/8, 195 pounds. That's on the small side. 30 3/4 inch arm length, relatively short arms. He ran 4.45, good enough, absolutely good enough. 1.56, 10-yard split. That's pretty good. 32.5-inch vertical. It's okay, but there's definitely a lot better. We see guys go for 40-inch vertical, 42. 15 reps on the bench, so decent strength for a safety, but not like anything crazy. 14 on the Wonderlic, which I don't think is a very good score. But you know what? The guy's the smartest player on the field, so that's the biggest joke there is that stupid Wonderlic. This is one of the smartest players in the NFL. Then he immediately steps in 2017 with the Cardinals, and he's just producing right away. 74 tackles, 102 tackles in 18, 19, 147 tackles, 20, 118 tackles, 2021, 98 tackles, 2022, this last year, 111 tackles. So this guy's just awesome. You know, he's really, really good player, and he just makes tons of plays. You know, could the Niners acquire him? Well, they're going cheap at quarterback. They're going cheap in a couple other spots. They might be able to squeeze him in. I can't imagine. I mean, what would you give him? Offer a third-round pick? We'll give you a third-round pick for Budda. I mean, the one thing about Budda Baker, he's 27. He's not 32. So you're going to have 5 good football seasons of Budda Baker. He's a big-time player, that's for sure. I can't imagine Arizona would trade him to the 49ers, but he is the kind of difference maker that if you're John Lynch, you got to make that call. Got to make the call, right? I don't know if you know, I don't know what they're going to ask in a trade as far as what kind of pick. The one thing about these NFL trades that's kind of weird though, sometimes certain players, you know, bring a lot in trade, and then there'll be other really good players if they have a, you know, decent sized contract that you can get for a 6th-round pick. And if this were that situation and all they had to do was clear cap room, this is the player to extend for. Why? Because he's relatively young, 27. He's at a position of need. He's an instinctive player. You can't, the safety that you draft won't be as good as Budda Baker. So if you could get him for a 3rd-round pick, I'd do it. But who knows? I mean, the way some of these trades work out, sometimes you see really good players go for a 5th-round pick or a 6th-round pick. I mean, the NFL history is filled with all kinds of big-time players that were traded for late day 3 picks. Sometimes it's kind of shocking. I can't imagine that's the situation here because he's not 33, he's 27, so he's in the prime of his career. But I'd give a 3rd-round pick and a conditional pick and a future draft if I felt like I could create the cap room to squeeze in Budda Baker. I don't mind Tayshaun Gibson. I think Talanoa Hufanga's all right. They ain't Budda Baker, all right? I like those guys. I love this guy. This might be one of my favorite players in all of football. And he's in your division. The good news for the Niners is he's no longer in the division if they trade him out of the division. But don't think for a second that John Schneider would not make this trade, because John Schneider would. And the last thing you want to see if you're the Niners is Seattle get Budda Baker. They got those big-time corners, Kobe Bryant and Tariq Woolen. The last thing you want to see is, Budda Baker up in the Pacific Northwest. So if I'm John Lynch, I just want to make a phone call. I just want to make a phone call, and I want to find out. I want to be in that deal flow. Now, do I want to extend for Budda Baker? Yeah. And I wouldn't extend for everybody, but I would extend for this player at this time. But I really want to make sure that I'm in that deal flow so I know if he's going to Seattle. Because if he's going to Seattle, then I really want to get involved here. If he's going to, if you're bidding against Jacksonville, you know what? Just having him out of the division is a win. That might be enough of a win. But if you think he's going to Seattle, that's where I think I'd get proactive. Seattle might be the only thing standing between the 49ers and dominance within this division. Budda Baker is the kind of player that could really be a difference maker there. I don't want to see him have a 5-year run in Seattle of dominance. Between Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor, they've had enough good safeties through the years. So I want to be in this deal flow to find out if he's going to Seattle. And if he's going to Seattle, I want to bid that up as much as I possibly can and make John Schneider pay more than he wants for a player that I know that he wants, that I know that if he announces it in Seattle, he'll be a conquering hero. They love Budda Baker in the Pacific Northwest because of his time at UW. So they want him. Get in the deal flow. Either get him or make them pay more to get him, or have him go out of the division. Those are your three winning equations with Budda Baker. If you can get him, awesome. That would be priority number one. If you can't get him, and he goes to a team out of the NFC West, that's also a win. And that's 2 times a year you don't have to face Budda Baker. The loss is he goes to Seattle. The big loss is he goes to Seattle for cheap, like a 6th-round pick, and they can add Budda Baker for a late day 3 pick to add to their draft class. I don't want to see that. That's too much momentum for the Seahawks. So that's my thought on Budda Baker. I love him. I think he's one of the best safeties in football. This guy wants to knock your block off. He's a pretty good cover guy as well. He's a true difference maker alpha. What'd you lose in Mosley? You lost an alpha. What'd you lose in Jimmy Ward? You lost an alpha. Guys who are big-time leaders in the secondary. Do you trust yourself to find that player in the draft? Maybe, but maybe not. It's hard to find these guys. With Budda Baker, he's an alpha. You got to pay him, and you're probably going to have to trade something decent to get him. But I don't want to see him in Seattle. If I'm John Lynch, I don't want him to be in Seattle. If I think he's going to the AFC or just anywhere but Seattle, all right. I kick tires. I want to know what the price is, but I'm probably not going to extend. If I think he's going to Seattle, now I'm getting involved. Now I'm making an offer. Now I'm trying to force John Schneider to pay more. The worst thing that could happen is that Budda winds up in Seattle for cheap as a late day 3 pick. And then he all of a sudden is this awesome player and they're getting him for nothing. All right, those are my thoughts on Budda Baker, man. I hope the Niners get him. It would be awesome to see him as a 49er. What a player he is. But don't let him go to Seattle. All right, thanks for watching The Krueger Show. And thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being a proud sponsor. Check them out in Corte Madera and Emeryville. And once again, thanks for supporting The Krueger Show on YouTube.